Bendiciones. Bendiciones. We went to church again on Sunday. I'm trying to get um into the groove of going every Sunday from now on and sprinkle in other like different churches. Um I've kind of been going to the same one because I like it every time I go. It's they talk about something that is either I that we have talked about before during the week or that have been brought up during the week or some issue that happened. And I like it, when that happens. So, um, and we could sit outside if we want, or, there's different seating areas to sit at this church. And there's a lot actually in the area where I'm at of different spiritualist churches that you could go to. I am still looking for a good Buddhist chanting one that I can um attend, but I also found that um at the park they have like free Tai Chi and different types of things that they do also with a small meditation after. And so I'm trying to get back into doing that. Whereas I mean there's a lot of things going on in the world, all over the world, and it's easy to like get caught up in that. It's okay to prep, to be prepped up and all of that, but to um like we all know that there's like starting of wars and rumors of wars and how it says in the end times of things happening, and it's happening and we all see it's happening. And like for me to not want to get caught up in that, like in stuck in that, but to feed into that energy, feed into that fear, the fear energy, and to go around and just focus on the uplifting energy, still being aware, not being not like recognizing that it exists or that it's there or that it's happening, but to not feed into it, not give more energy to it. So that's why I like try, like I'll see things that are happening and things that are going on, but not so much stay in that. But anyways, at church, they were talking about fearlessness, being fearless. And when Divine Mother is ever present, then you will have faith in God, and that will make you have no fear. When you have faith in God, you have no fear. And you always know that everything is for your highest good when you have a strong faith in God. Uh, People nowadays rarely think about our highest benefit. And what he was meaning is when something bad happens, people nowadays they've rarely go to their mind thinking that this is for their highest benefit. Right away they start thinking of like, why is this happening? And trying to put it into like a negative thinking towards it instead of thinking like, oh, this is for my highest good, it's for my highest benefit. So I wrote this down, which I thought was funny, is that there was this guy who had a fear of ghosts under his bed or spirits under his bed. And he was going to therapists, and all these therapists were like, trying to put him on, oh, you need medication, and trying to give him medication. And so he was like, that's not like, that wasn't the answer that he wanted. So then he ended up going to this one therapist. It was like a spiritualist therapist. And she just was like, why don't you just saw the legs off your bed? And it was something so simple, and it helped, and sometimes we have to think outside of the box like that. And people that are spiritual thinking and spiritual minded and connected with spirit, it's harder for you to connect with people who are not. And so if you try to take advice from people who are not, they're not going to give you the proper advice and guidance that you need in your life. So going back to the high, everything happens for your highest good. He was also talking about that everything that comes to us through from Divine Mother. And so we need to dilute our ego. It helps us to dilute our ego. Everything that comes to us helps us to dilute our ego and to see the lesson behind what comes. So sometimes if something um negative were to come along, then you have to, you know, learn to look beyond that. And rarely nowadays is hard for people to see the lesson behind what is happening. And oh, he was also talking about the greatest fear of all humanity, most people, is death. And when a spiritual teacher was asked, you know, they said, well, what do you say about this? Because a lot of people have fear of death. He said, well, don't fear death, because when you're alive, you're not dead. And when you're dead, you're already dead. I thought that was funny that he was talking about that. And he was talking about attachment to vague spiritual emotions are our creation. We can overcome. So attachment to emotions that are our creation. We create that. We create fears that we have for certain things, anxiety that we have towards certain things, anger that we have towards certain things. This is all our creation, and we can overcome that. Sometimes the emotions become so strong that they overpower us and they hijack our brain emotions. So that's why they tell you to be present moment when you meditate, and you always stay in present, because then your emotions cannot hijack your thinking. And when you're in fear, when you're constantly in fear, your heart becomes paralyzed by fear, and this allows disease to invade your body, so as to avoid being in fear. He also was giving an example of he said that he had seen some YouTube video of a guy that was saying, oh, the world is going to end like October 16 or whatever. It's like, the world is going to end October 16. Everybody be careful, be prepared. And then he said that on October 17, when it didn't end, he was just like, oh, sorry, guys. Sorry for the inconvenience that I may have caused. You know, so there's always going to be somebody that's, you know, doing that. So not to live in the fear. And I thought that was funny, because I was already thinking about, see, this is what the thing where I tell you that it always like ties in, because I was already thinking that about not letting um going too far down the rabbit hole into thinking like I already know that you know, I already know about the new world order. I already know about this, and I don't need to, you know, the banksters, and you know that they put toxic chemicals in food, and I don't need to look more into it and keep looking into it. And there is like a thing that I did see that Food Babe is doing. She's suing Kellogg's cereal because they put a lot of toxins in the food, in their morning cereals too, like the dyes, the food dyes that they have found. If you have food, if your food has food dyes in it, do not give that to your kids. It has known to cause autism and other problems with little children. So don't feed that to your kids. But in other countries, they've already banned it. And instead, Kellogg's, to dye their foods like Fruit Loops and all of that, they use like beets or, you know, other natural, you know, things that turmeric or, you know, other things that they can use as natural that they could use to dye the food. They use in other countries. So they have the recipe for it, but they just don't use it here in the USA. And that goes for a lot of things that are banned in other countries and not here. Or also the fluoride in the water. Like I was on a big trip about the fluoride in the water because it's toxic. You know, it's a toxic. If they have to wear hazmat suits just to be around it, and if it spills, then they have to like cut off the area, and you know it's so toxic like that. But they put it in the drinking water, and it's just ridiculous. Um and also most people have like when if you go to like the city, they come out to your house and they'll give you like a free water heater for, you know, certain, if you do like their program, the SDG&E. And the water heater that they give you is like a big I don't know how many gallons, but it boils the water in there. So it has boiled water and then it adds that to your, it's not like a point of use water heater. And so boiling water actually concentrates more the fluoride. So it makes it actually worse. So it's like, it's just everywhere you look. It's like that you think like, oh, they're going to help, but they're not. It's not to help. It's always to harm, more to harm. And it's like, it's to feed into the pharmaceuticals for the drugs, like, to get people to take drugs. It's always to get people to take drugs. So I had seen that there was a city in California that banned, like they're taking the fluoride out of the water, out of the drinking water. And they're suing the EPA. I think also like John F. Kennedy. I don't know. I thought I heard that he's suing like the EPA for the fluoride in the water in other places. I think also like for vaccines or something. He's also suing, but that he's suing all these people. But the city in California took the fluoride out, and they said until further studies can be done, and they use studies from other countries. Other countries have done studies and found that the fluoride in the water is not. It lowers the. It causes brain injury. It lowers the IQ. Not able to think clearly, properly. So I hope like more cities follow suit of that. But again, like I say, like things like that, like I don't want to get caught up in that. Like we already know that is, that our country's been hijacked. We know that. So now just focusing on the uplifting of the spiritual consciousness. So I thought it was really funny that I was already in my mindset of thinking that. And then when I go to the church, he talks about that. He talks about like, getting stuck in that where it um could put you in fear, things that have the potential to have you in fear. And he was also talking about for you to look fear in the face and it will cease to exist. So what you're afraid of, you go to it. And so the guy that was predicting the end of the world, he was also saying that he is on the wrong vibration of spreading, um, like going to that and just watching that is just going to be on the wrong vibration of what you would want to be on. Again, to be aware, to know of the truth, not to live in ignorance, but to not um, get stuck in that, just in that. So like a balance of everything. But also not to be naive of the things going on. You need to know. Um, oh, he also was talking about how fear can also be from memories of past pains that you've had. Um, they create your emotions. They create your emotions, and then they can like affect you now, like from past pains will make your how you react now. So to be aware of that and conscious of when something happens and you have like a past pain that is causing you to overreact in a present situation, just to be aware of that. And what else was he talking about? Oh, he was also saying that fearlessness does not mean to be careless or restlessness. It doesn't mean, just because you're like, oh, I'm going to be fearless, I'm going to do all of these dangerous things. No, it's not that. I can't see this little paper really good. So he was saying, just like in your dreams, how in your dreams you kind of just go by and things just happen, and you to be like a vivid dreamer where you wake up in your dreams and you're aware in your dreams. That's also in here in our right now where we are in this realm, is we're cosmic dreamers. So we also have to our our souls are we're cosmic dreamers. And so we also have to awaken here and realize that it's what we're seeing and what we're experiencing is a cosmic motion picture. So we have to have a positive mental attitude and live free of fear. And it says, do not fear those that could kill the physical body, not to live in fear of those that could kill the physical body. It's the self-created mental things that we create, our mental troubles that are self-created. Those are the ones that could affect us past death. So, in the spirit. And to also only associate yourself with those who are of positive mind. So to watch your company. And if you're ever in a situation, oh, this story that because I just wrote little notes because I was running out of paper, so I was using like a little post-it, putting little, you could barely even see, like little little bits, but because I forgot my notebook. So he was saying that for example, in the hell realm, that a monk was showing hell, and he went to the hell to hell to see, and he said it was, what he saw was a table full of all of the delicious foods and pastries and everything delicious, a beautiful banquet of food, and all the people sitting at the table had no elbows, so they just had like straight arms, so they could see all of the food, but they couldn't put it to their mouth because they had no elbows to bend to put it to their mouth. So they were just sitting there looking at the food and crying, all of them just crying like, oh, because they couldn't get the food. So then he was like, oh, watching, and then he was guided to heaven. And when he got to heaven, it was the same table of banquet of food, of all kinds of foods and pastries and everything that you can think of and imagine. But then those people also were with their straight arms and no elbows, but yet they were happy and cheering and having fun and in pure happiness. And it was because they were feeding each other. They had learned to help each other. So they were, picking up the food and feeding one another, and they were able to create their own heaven on earth. So that's what he was saying, was that it is the hell is that we create with our own attitude, with our own attitude. So he was saying, if you're ever in a state of where you're anxious and you're somewhere and you have a fear or you feel anxious, to take a deep breath. And a deep breathing can calm your own, can calm, oh, it says taking deep breaths calms your heart. And when you have your calm heart, you cannot manifest fear. So taking the deep breaths calms your heart, and you cannot manifest fear that way. But also he was saying that if you do feel the fear, that you rub your heart from left to right, left. So you rub your heart, and you say, Father, I am free. And you did this over and over. Father, I am free. And every night before bed, to affirm every night before bed that you are protected by God and chant Om 3 times. Om. Om. Om.